In yesterday's class, we talked about overriding, we talked about super, we talked about abstract, we talked about interface, right? So quickly recap, overriding is something which is kind of polymorphism, that is like you can same function, same method behaving differently, depends on the situation kind of scenario, where we have compile time polymorphism, runtime polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism is method overloading, and runtime polymorphism is method overriding. So overriding happens between the two classes, and the conditions is method name should be same, method signature should be same, which means the parameter should be same, and the return type should be same or subclass, but that subclass concept leave it aside for now. Remember, return type should be same, and modifier access modifier should be, the scope in the child should be higher or the same. Then you can call method overriding, and the classes should be in relation with the inheritance concept, whether by extending or by implementing, right? Okay. So as we get to know, object creates at the runtime, so you cannot and there is a concept called superclass variable holding the subclass reference object, that is parent holding the child. So in these scenarios we get to know only after creating an object which method is going to be triggered, so it is called runtime polymorphism. And the next thing is super. Super is a method that will be fit into the constructor in the first line of the constructor. If you don't insert it, by default it will be inserted, and it will start calling the parent class first, and start executing the parent class first, and then executing the child constructor next. So by default super will be inserted, default super will be inserted in default constructor or any argument constructor. If you want to trigger explicitly argument based constructor in the parent, then you need to pass the parameter to the super so that it will call the corresponding argument case constructor in the parent, right? That's all about super. And abstract. Abstract is like a special type of a class where you have like where you can define a class as an abstract when you think like that the class is going to have any abstract methods. So where you don't have a definitions, or else you can still define a class abstract even having only concrete methods. And when you have any abstract methods, when any dummy methods in your class, then you must make that class as abstract class, otherwise it will give a compile time error. So when but vice versa is not true, like if you call abstract class and you don't need to have any abstract methods. So when do you go for an abstract class? So when you have some implementation, when you can say when you have some implementation, and when you don't have, when you have part of the implementation and techniques with you, and when you don't have certain implementations with you, then you make that class as a abstract. And can we create an object for abstract class? No. Can we create a reference variable for abstract class? Yes. So you cannot create an object for abstract class. You can create a reference variable for abstract class. Perfect. And what is an interface? Interface is like a fully abstract method, abstract class, where you have all abstract method. By default, all the methods in the interface is abstract methods. So even if you mentioned void method 1, by default it means is public abstract void method 1. You don't need to write explicitly public abstract. One point I forgot to mention is all the variables that you write inside the interface, will be public static final. Like if you say int a equal to 10 in the interface, then by default what it is mean? It's a public static final int 10. Okay, that public static final will be automatically inserted when you try to compile the interface. and you cannot create an object for an interface because you don't have a definition. So what's the point in creating an object? And but you can create a reference variable, so where your interface can have a reference variable holding the implementation class object. In our case, vehicle V equal to new BMW car, right? So parent can hold child. And how can you get the specification of the interface? Is interface, when somebody says interface, the first thing that should come into your mind is specification. So when you have a specification but you don't have a definitions, then you need to go for an interface. So how do you incorporate that interface specifications into your class? You must implement that interface. Implement is the keyword. When you class A equal implements interface, whatever the name, right? Then automatically you must implement all the methods that has been there in the interface with the abstract methods. All those abstract methods you should give the definition in your subclass. If you don't have a definition in your subclass, all you need to do is you need to go back and make that subclass as an abstract and then create another class. Whoever going to have an implementation, whoever is going to extend this abstract class should provide the definition or implementation for that abstract class and interface. So that's all we discussed, and I guess we did a program as well, right? Yep. See here, right? First we created an interface with the engine, speed, vehicles, and plane has an implementation for engine and wheels, but it doesn't have a speed definition, so it became an abstract class. And Boeing started extending plane, where it gets an implementation of wheels, it gets an implementation of engine, but Boeing must implement the speed, so it implemented the speed. So another class called jet plane, that also extends the plane and it also must provide the implementation. Okay, if it doesn't have an implementation, it need to make this class as a abstract class. So it's simple, right? So now I can say vehicle V equal to new jet plane. Sorry, I mistake, right? Capital letter. You suppose never do such mistakes. Right, so now you can say V dot engine, V dot wheels, V dot speed. When you run this program, what is the error that we have? We don't need a bike concept, right? Plane engine, 9 wheels, 100 miles per hour. Makes sense? When I say here like a Boeing, then it comes like a plane engine, 9 wheels, 330 miles. So we are overriding concept we are utilizing here, if you observe. Right? Perfect. If you have any doubts, just let me know, please. Okay? Let's move this guy to here. So, okay. So now let's talk about JVM memory allocation. So we keep pending this concept, right? So what happens, like, if you guys little bit have an idea, this concept we talked about little bit, but we haven't went through in detail. Okay, so let's say Now let's say I write a class called class a person. Okay, and let's do this otherwise. You can have still class person. Okay, let's say you have this kind of concept. Okay, you have a method called you have a method called void method 1, right? When you write like this, what happens, right? When you run this program, what happens? Basically what happens is, in the you have, like, you remember, you have like you may have 8 GB of RAM in your system, and now your Java doesn't use your memory, your 8 GB it's not using. As and when I click this button, run the program, right? What happens first? JVM loads into the memory. What happened? JVM loads into the memory, not your program. First JVM loads into the memory, occupies certain memory, let's say 2 GB of memory. Okay, so let's go back and focus on the 2 GB. Now let's assume this is a 2 GB of the loaded memory, JVM memory. Okay, then what happens? Before running your program, certain sections will be automatically allocated. Okay, certain section is like, system processing in the JVM, system processing. Okay, something like that. And then two important things: a stack memory, and then heap memory will be heap heap memory will be created. Okay, in this 2 GB, some part will be created for stack and some part will be given to heap. Okay, so as and when we started running this kind of programs, what happens is, first it started loading the class somewhere. Okay, class will be loaded, plain text class will be loaded, and then it start looking if there is any methods. So all the methods will go into here, like, first method. Okay, stack memory method will go into stack memory. Okay, let's say I write another method called void method 2, and I initialize like here int a equal to 20 and here int b equal to 30. Okay, what happens? This stack, it loaded into this method 1 will be loaded, and int a variable will also be here occupied. In method 2 another stack, it loaded into the stack method 2, and it will also be equal to 30, it will be have. So local variables methods will be occupied in the stack memory. Okay, then we wrote another method called void method 3, and here what I will do is, like, let's say I have a class called student. Okay, and I have int a equal to 30, something like that. Okay, here what I'm doing in method 3 is, I'll say student reference equal to new student. Okay, now what happens in this method? The reference will be loaded here, but the object will be loaded in heap memory with the variable whatever it is there with 30, and this reference variable will be referred to the object that has been there in the heap memory. Okay, simple concept. This is how you need to remember. There are two kinds of memories will be available in Java. I mean JVM. Important. There are bunch of different, like class loader memory will be there here, and processing will be there, and encrypting will be there. Some different memories are, those are like, if you want to learn about JVM and the system, then we need to focus on that. We don't need to. So basically what happens, like these two are important in some Java programming point of view: stack memory and heap memory. What happens with the heap memory? Heap memory will have a method 1, method 2, I mean all the methods and local variables of that method, right? All the variables, all the methods and local variables of that methods will be loaded into the stack memory. Okay, and the reference variable will be loaded into the stack memory. Okay, but the object will be created in heap memory. Okay, so now this program has been loaded like this, and let's say you started running this program. Okay, and it started upload, this one loaded and this one loaded and this one loaded. It created an object, and the object has been referred, all the stuff. So what happens, this method has been completely executed. Okay, what happens once the execution completes? This reference will be removed from the stack. This reference variable will be removed from the stack, which means the connection has been gone here for that object. Okay, method 2. So once it is done, this method 2 will be removed from the stack. Once this one is done, method 1 also gone. So the program is done. The program is done, right? So what does it mean? Your complete stack will be cleaned up as and when you're done with the program. But as it is disconnected and nobody has been touched this one, it will be staying there without any access, like it's like an orphan. The object become an orphan. No, there is no connection, because as and when the program done, the reference has been removed, the method has been done, the reference has been removed, so it disconnected. So these kind of objects will be there in your memory and eating your memory a lot. Okay, so for that there is a concept, another concept called garbage collection is there. Okay, Java will have a smart logic which is running all the time, like it is like a monitoring guy, keep on monitoring here. Okay, so somebody is using it, somebody is referring it. If nobody is referring it, you will consider this is a garbage collector. Let me clean this memory up. Making sense? Agreed with me? Okay, so there are two memories. One is stack memory and heap memory. As and when you run the program, JVM loads into the memory and class will be loaded into the memory, plain text, and then it will start creating whatever the steps that we encounter. It looks for the main method and it start processing whatever they need to be done. So all the methods, all the method logics, all the local variables of that method, all the reference variables of the object, any objects, reference variables of an object will be loaded into the stack, and then objects will be loaded into heap memory, and these references will be referred from stack to heap memory objects that has been created. As and when we done progress our program, as and when we done with the particular methods and reference variables, those reference variables and methods has been removed from the stack, which means cleaning up the stack memory. But as and when we remove these reference objects, the objects that has been sitting with this reference from the stack has been disconnected and become an orphan. So that is where garbage collector comes into picture and monitors your JVM all the time. It comes like every 5 seconds, or it comes like every half an hour. It comes like every first time 5 seconds, after 15 seconds. Like it's GC is little smarter. We'll discuss when it comes. Okay, so it looks as and fine, it finds an ARPAN. Okay, this guy is, nobody is using it, there is no point in keeping it, so they will clean it up, that memory. Okay, so that is how JVM, the basic concept, works. If you are interested, spend some time reading about JVM set up in Java docs, or like, even if you search in Google JVM, explain JVM, you will get a bunch of different, everybody has their own opinions of JVM, but this is the basic concept and everybody agrees with this, whatever I explained. Okay. That is good. Next one is array. Okay. What is an array? An array is a collection of elements, a collection of an elements. Okay, with a fixed size. Okay, let's say you have like a basket. Okay, you keep putting some apples around. By 100 apples, that box get filled, and you can carry these 100 apples rather than keeping one in your hand, one your another hand, and keeping another one on top of another apple. You can use this box to carry the data from one place to another place, right? That is how that box helped you to keep all the apples in a single place. So that helped you to carry and keep them in a separate structure, and whatever the things that you want to do, you can do it collectively on those apples, right? Otherwise they will be scattered. One will be in the kitchen, one will be in the hall, one will be somewhere else, and it's very challenging for you to pick the right apple, and and make sure like no it is not damaged, or it is properly available or not, right? So rather than that, you keep it in a box. Same thing, if there is any scenarios that you encounter, 100% you encounter. So if there is any scenarios that you encounter where you want to keep things together and elements together, then you can go for an array concept. An array concept. Okay, how do you declare an array? What is an array? I mean, how do you write an array? What are the different ways to write an array? How do you initialize an array? How to extract an elements from an array? Right? These are all the Java style, how Java implemented. Let's see. So let's say you write int equal to 10, right? And if you want to b, you can write like a b equal to 20. Basically you are trying to hold 10, 20, 30 in different variables. Rather than that, if you want to keep all of them together and you use it as and when required, right, you can do what you can do using the arrays. Int it's an int array, right? Any name, any variable name equal to new int of 10, 20, 30. So you can able to hold all the three variables rather than creating three different variables for to hold the three different values. What you did, you created a variable of type int and an array. So you call it as ARR is like XYZ. Okay, some simple way. XYZ is a variable of int array. Okay, array can be represented in this way, the highlighted square brackets. Okay, equal to new int of, and you are initializing here. So what does this line means? So you can say int a, or else, I mean int a, or what you can do, int a equal to 10. So what is the difference between int a and int b1 equal to 20? What is the difference between these two elements? This is declaration, this is initialization, right? This is declaration and initialization. Here you are declaring a1 is an int. Here you are declaring b1 variable is an of type int, and it is holding a value 20 initialized. Here also what you did here, your xyz is an int array which is holding values of 10, 20, 30. So it is nothing but declaration and initialization of an array. Declaration and initialization of an array. And let's say you just want to declare how can you declare, right? So int arr of type equal to new int of size 3. Of size 2. I'll tell you size. So here what is the difference between this line and this line? This is you declared xyz as an int array of type int. An array xyz is of type int which is holding values 10, 20, 30. So if you try to keep another value, it cannot hold. Okay. So the size of the xyz array is 2. You may see 3 values, but you call it, the index starts with zeros. The index always starts with 0. Okay. So size, if somebody asks the size, 0, 1, 2. So 0, this is on 0, this is on 2, this is 1, this is 2. So size of this array is 2. And what you are doing here, you just declaring an array. Declaration of an array. So what is this 2? You are conveying, I am writing an array arr of type int, and the size is 2, and the size is 2. Makes sense? So if you keep some element inside the number inside the square brackets, it's the size. If you want to initialize any elements, you need to use curly braces and initialize it. Okay, so what happens when you write like this? What happens first when you write like this, right? So let's go back to the diagram. When you write the first like int a1 equal to a1, what happens? A1 variable holding default value 0, right? What happens? b1 holding default value 20, reference variable. Same thing, a, b, c, right? Same thing. So what happens when you try xyz, right? xyz you said an array. So what happens is it looks for it looks for an array. Okay, it's already initialized, so it looks for the size. Okay, 10, 20, 30. So it's a 2. It will create bucket of 2, 0, 1, 2, and it keeps the element 10 here, 20 here, 30 here. Okay, and then the starting address 11111 something like that, right? This value will be with XYZ, with XYZ. Okay, that is what happened. So let's say what happened in the last line, array int of 2. So what it says, okay, it's saying an array of size 2, 0, 1, 2, sorry, array of 2. When I say array of 2, you can, when I say 0, 1, 2, 3, yeah, array of size 2, so it's correct. So it will start like you haven't added any value, so ARR will be referring to this location. And as and when if you want to initialize with values, ARR of index of 0 equal to 20, ARR index of 1 equal to 21, ARR index of 3, sorry, index of 2 equal to 22. Now you initialized. So each index, as your size is 2, 0, 1, 2, it goes with 20, 21, 22. These values has been kept in 20, 21, 22. You see what I'm saying? So let's say I kept it like size is 20. So you need to initialize explicitly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20, right? It doesn't make sense for us, right? If you know the values, what values you need to initialize, you can loop it. You can do the for loop and keep on adding the values. Okay, we can discuss about that. So this is declaration and initialization explicitly. Initialization explicitly. Okay. So is there any other way that I can write initialization? Yes, you can write. So here you wrote like this, right? Instead of that, you can move int array ABC equal to new int of 40 or 4. So the square bracket can be next to the data type or next to the variable. It works fine. You can use either ways, whichever it is compatible for you. Okay, both ways accepted by Java. Okay, so here ABC is of type int, or ABC is an array. ABC is an array of type int with size 4. Make sense? And is there any way to initialize? This is the only way to initialize. Is there any other way to initialize? You can do it. Another way is int pqr equal to, you can directly initialize 24, 34, 54, 64, something like that. So pqr got initialized by default. You don't need to explicitly initialize like this. You don't need to write new and blah blah blah. So there are 4 ways you can declare and initialize an array. Okay, declare and initialize an array. Make sense? Okay, let's see a couple of programs, right? So that helps you to and can use it for only int. Can we do it for a float or any other data types? Absolutely, you can do it, right? So float, all you need is float f equal to 10.0f comma 10.2f comma 23.34f. This is the f is an array of type float. It can take only float. So if you try to keep some other value, it gives an error when you try to, like, if I say, it gives an error. It doesn't, it should be f. Okay, the earlier one, it automatically converts into float. This int will be converted into float actually. Okay, so only for data types. Can I do it for string? Of course you can. So string of type an array str equal to, either you can say so str names Java, 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 Java. So now names is an array of type string of size 4. Make sense? Okay. So now you declared it like this. How do you want to take out the names from this one? How do you want to take out the integers that has been there in this array? Okay, is this the only way to initialize each and every array? Now it looks good like only for 4 elements, but if I have hundreds element, what is the different way to do it? Simple, right? We know the for loop logic. So let me try to extract these values first. The index is different. The index I am talking about in terms of an index. Length, okay. I should have used some different word. Okay, length, let's say for time being, let's say like give me a second. Length we can say, but length will give you the exact value. Let me show it to you. Give me a second. For the way I'm saying is like, okay, yeah, right, the size is what, 1 2 3. Okay, I agree, size is 3, but the index starts with 0. That's, remember, that's it. Okay, size or length. Okay, let's keep it as size slash length. Okay, size slash length is 3 but starts with index 0. Okay, so for int I equal to 0, I is less than or equal to names dot length. Okay, I plus plus. I assigned to 0. It start with 0 because you want to take out name of 0, name of 1, name of 2, name of 3, name of 4, right? Okay, so I plus plus. Let's see. What I will do is SYSOUT size, okay, equal to names dot length Okay, and then here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to display. Okay, so SOUT. Names of I. Right, so first time when it repeats names of 0, names of 0 is Java. Next time it repeats names of 1, so names of 1 is Kava. Next time repeats names I becomes 2, names of 2, and it satisfies names dot length, so it comes to the names dot 2 and it displays Sava. In names dot second index is Sava. That's how it displays. So let's see. What happened? It's not able to find. Display this. Something different problem, not our problem. Uh, Something I blocked. It's getting hanged, I guess. Let me just restart it. So let's see, let's run this program again. Okay, see what happened. Size is 5. Okay, so if you observe 1 2 3 4 5, size is 5, perfectly fine. But why did we get an error? Instead of displaying the names here, we got an error. Why did we got this error? Here, array index out of bound exception, which means basically you need to try with length -1, size -1, because it starts with 0. Why didn't oh yeah, it displayed, right? Only thing is we haven't differentiated. See, size is 5, but you are saying here as the size is 5 and but it as it started with 0, right? If 1 to 10 you will say size is 10, but as we are starting with 0 to 10 the size becomes 11. Or if you want an array of 4, then as it started with 0, how many indexes you can give? 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that is what it is. So from it started with 0 index, so you need to give size minus 1. Otherwise what happens is it tries to look for another element that is not there, that is array has been not created. It fetches and try to look for another element where there is no element. That is where you get an array, an exception called an exception, an error, an exception called, for now you can call it as an error until we talk about exceptions. We got an array, our program failed because of array index out of bound exception, right? See, now you can write it. Now the size we made it as like -1. Now you got exactly what you want. Okay, yeah, that's it for now. What we can do is I'm going to send now in the next 20 minutes. I'm going to send you like an assignment. For the next assignment, to 2 to 3 assignments. Please finish it. I think a lot of people finished 1 or 2, not completed. I'm going through one by one. Whoever haven't finished, please, there is no point you guys attending, just simply standing, sitting and wasting your time. Okay, so my humble request, just go back and do if you haven't. Finish it, learn. If you missed any classes, go back and visit on YouTube and go through them, but don't miss it. Like these 45 days are so important for you. Okay, thank you guys.